Namaste. Do you feel anxious about our impending world elections? Do you feel anxiety and nervousness over COVID? Does 2020 in general make you feel like it's just over the top and you can't handle anything else? My name is Ariela Halevi, and I am the co-founder of Soul Centered, a spiritual center for meaning, spirituality, and purpose. And I work with women to heal on a very deep level, to heal their root causes of their emotional, spiritual, and physical issues. And today we're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about anxiety in a way that helps us deal with the current pandemic, that helps us deal with the upcoming elections and post-elections. And then on top of it all, we're going to talk about the anxiety of just living and just breathing and being here in life. And so when we look at the word anxiety, we find that it has its root in the idea that there is something wrong, right? The mind senses that there is something wrong. And what it does is that it looks to the future or it looks to the past in order to make its case. So the mind said there's something looming, there's something wrong, there's fear about what will happen, or there's fear about what has happened. And it really takes us out of the present moment. And we all have this feeling one time or another, but this year especially has pushed us, most of us, into this panic of where we were, maybe in March, or where we will be, maybe in 2 days, or 5 days, or a month from now. And so when we have this feeling in our mind, when our mind tells us there's something wrong, what happens is our body creates the idea and runs with it. So our body creates nauseousness, our body creates stomach aches, our body creates headaches, our body creates back pain, chronic issues, that what happens is that we feel out of control. So it starts in the mind and then it goes down to the body, and we become out of the present moment. We become out of control. And so we know that anxiety has a few themes, right? It's a body feeling, it's a mind feeling, and it's this triggered sense of being out of control. So let's go a little bit deeper. So feelings and thoughts take us out of the present moment. They cause fear. And what happens is that our nervous system is always firing. We are constantly in chronic fight or flight. Our cortisol levels go up. Our adrenaline is constantly running. And we feel out of alignment with our center and our deepest knowing, our truth. We give our power away to fear. I think this is the number one thing when you look at anxiety, is this unique offering of looking at the ways in which we give our power away. Some of us give our power away to people, and most of us give our power away to our fears, to our anxieties. But what anxiety is that it's just a little child who has arrived in your space, right? If you can see it as a little child, and it has not come to ruin you or hurt you, but it's come to ask you to wake up. It wants to be acknowledged like a child. It wants to be held. It wants to be allowed into your moment. The anxious one, this little one inside of you, or sometimes it's really big, wants to have a home. So will you run away from it when it arrives again? Will you distract yourself from it when it's present? Or will you finally turn and greet it? So there are different ways that we behave in anxiety. We're going to talk today about how to handle anxiety, how to feel it. And then next week, we're going to talk about how to heal anxiety. But there are different ways that we all react to anxiety. So I like to look at it in 3 sections. The first one is that we inflate ourselves. We pump ourselves up so high, our ego takes over, and we become overly confident, which is really just a Band-Aid because inside we feel small and anxious. But we're actually showing off, or we're bullying somebody else, or we're playing superior. The next way that we behave in anxiety, and just notice if you see yourself in these different ones, is to bring ourselves down, to deflate ourselves, to collapse and suppress ourselves into our feelings so that we're on this hamster wheel and we cannot get out, right? We play small, we collapse, we hide, and we play victim. It's literally, have you ever met somebody, or maybe this is yourself, where you're in this cycle of anxiety and you can't get out, or you feel you can't get out? The next one would be rigidity. Rigidity comes in different forms. We're going to talk today about rigidity as criticism, as judgment, as perfectionism, as being so rule-bound and tightly bound that you don't see anything else. It's like you have blinders on. So what is this type of anxiety? All these three types, what is it? Well, we are afraid of ourselves, so we act out. This isn't new, right? I know pandemic is new to us, and I know that this election time is new to you and us, but anxiety isn't new. You might and probably have memories of childhood or your past self when you were reacting instead of feeling empowered, when you were in intense fear and stress. So there are many reasons why we react to stress and why we react to the world's problems, but mostly it's because we are being triggered by internal things that have happened to us when we were younger, and they just get triggered all over again. So I know for me, and I've talked about this before, when we were in COVID, in the very beginning in March, I had a panic attack. And that triggered something really deep, feeling out of control. So my body reacted with a panic attack, which I haven't had in years. But I think I had one 15 years ago when my father-in-law died tragically. And then I had another one when I was younger, when my parents divorced when I was 13. And so what happened with COVID is that it triggered a lot of old emotions, and it came rushing to the surface to teach me how to be with my feelings. And so this is what I'd like to talk about next, is how to face it, how to feel it, and connect. There are many different ways. We're going to talk about connecting to your body. So when you allow your body to speak to you and to express what's inside of there, then you can release the anxiety. It's almost as easy as that, but it's not always so easy. When we allow ourselves to breathe, to ground, and to really clear ourselves and make space for the anxiety to be here, then we can kind of go back in time and we can listen to our bodies. When did your anxiety first start living here? When, because of quarantine or because of life being out of control, look at when you have been anxious before. Look at your old triggers, your old wounds of feeling out of control or just not coping well. What is your first memory with stress? You can visit this daily. When stress comes up, when anxiety comes up, finding your space and really seeing pictures and memories of when this has been here before. And allow yourself to feel it. So we're going to talk about emotions in a minute, but I'm going to introduce two more concepts. The idea of movement. When you're having a hard time breathing, when you feel like you are stressed and you feel like the thoughts are out of control, you feel like you've given your power away to your anxious thoughts, then moving the body helps you move some of it out. It's not all of it, but it does help with some of it. So I find that intense exercise helps my breath come up and out, if it's intense yoga, or maybe it's gentle yoga, depending on how your body feels. Running, I know last week I decided to take a really long run, and I could feel my breath release some of that stress. So movement and breath is a really good opportunity to help you release some of the stress. And then the next portion would be to introduce this idea of feeling your emotions. I'm kind of a broken record on it because I believe in it so much. If you can accept where you are completely in your emotion and how you feel, if you can accept all of it and admit it to yourself and bring your anxiety to the light, then your anxiety has an opportunity to talk to you. and to feel what is here. What we run away from haunts us. If we cover up and distract ourselves from it, eating, drinking, shopping, pill popping, incessant talking, rushing around, and mindlessness are just some of the examples. When we try to control everything around us and we spin in this busyness, then we are avoiding our anxiety and we're abandoning ourselves. So be honest and be real and stop sugarcoating how you feel. Stop stuffing down your feelings. Stop yelling, raging, and instead open to it and feel it. So perhaps, like for an example, you feel unsafe. But instead of really listening to why you feel unsafe, you run around and keep yourself busy. Then your body may start speaking the language of unsafety or anxiety. Instead, as we meet this frightened child inside of us and greet her or him with kindness, then we can love and deeply listen to ourselves. Then we have the opportunity to resolve and dissolve our fears. So my invitation today for you and for me and for all of us during this stressful time is to sit with yourself, find a space inside of your home or outside in nature, and to really give voice to that fear, to speak it out loud and get it outside of your cells and fill that little child inside of you. Imagine you're talking to one of your children or to a small child and let them have their say. Let them be in the light. Take your shadow, that darkness, that anxiety, and bring it to the light by feeling it. Feeling is healing. Namaste.